All right. So I think this is our second series for collaboration that DSI is putting on for our customers. So I want to take this time to thank everybody for taking some time out of your schedules to spend some time with us. We're going to spend about 30 minutes going over the Webex endpoints and different devices. And we are using Slido today, which is an embedded program here at Cisco where it's going to allow us to interact with our customers. You can feel free to chime in. Jump in some Q&A portions as well. And then also we're going to have some interactive quizzes for you all to participate on. And we're going to have some fun awards and stuff at the very end we'll be able to pass out. So if you're looking at your screen now, if you're on your computer, you can actually go to slido.com. And then at slido.com, you'll enter 886467. And the passcode is lowercase. You can see it right down there. Go ahead and enter that in. So I'll just give everybody a few minutes to go ahead and get logged in for Slido. That's how you're going to participate with the quizzes, and then also ask me questions that we can see on the screen in real time. And you can actually vote for your favorite questions, so we make sure we answer the ones that are most prevalent to the audience. If you have your smartphone, you can actually take out your phone as well and scan the QR code with your cell phone. It'll automatically take you to our quiz and our Q&A section, and then you just have to put in the passcode and you should be good to go. And during this time as well, we will have time during the questions to see the passcode again. So if you can't get it right now, don't worry, we can get right back to you, okay? All right, and before we get started, introducing myself, my name is Alex Garten. I'm the manager for customer success at DSI. I work with our customers primarily on onboarding and adoption with various architectures at Cisco. Primarily, I focus on collaboration, and I love working with our customers around, the hybrid movement, different endpoints, and just getting people onboarded with Webex and making sure they're able to, have continuity of government and their organizations throughout the year, and especially during the pandemic. All right, so talking about the future of hybrid work. Just a few statistics to kind of pop out here. 81% of people do not want to go back to the office, or they want some kind of a hybrid work schedule, right? I think we see that a lot of times, especially for those on this call who might be in leadership roles, seeing more and more people migrating over to a hybrid work schedule. I know here at DSI, we have a 3-day in-office schedule, and we do work in a hybrid schedule as well. And that kind of allows for flexibility. It's a nice way to allow your team to kind of de-stress during the week and really be able to keep working even in those odd hours and stuff. They may not have the technology they need in the office. It is now right here at their homes and stuff. Again, 98% expect that future meetings will involve remote participation. That is crazy. So basically what we're saying here is in the future, almost every meeting is going to be remote. To some degree, right? Maybe there might be a few people who are in the office, but I think we're starting to see this shift right now where a lot of people are, especially if you're looking at organizations that they're fully remote, right? I've seen a lot of people and, I'm talking to colleagues where they're shutting in their offices, they're going 100% remote. So this is kind of an analytic that we're looking at going into the future. We might see more and more people having remote participants only. And then 96% of people are saying they need intelligent workplace technology to improve the overall work environment, right? So this is saying, hey, now that I'm working from home, I need cameras, I need, a better laptop, or I need to have that iPad as a second monitor because I don't have that when I'm at home. I did in the office, right? We're really starting to see that shift, and the need for intelligent devices are really becoming more prevalent as we start progressing throughout the year, especially 2022 and what we can expect in 2023. The Webex Desk portfolio. So these are some of the devices that we're going to be going over today. And just high level, you can see the different array of devices. We're going to be talking about the Webex Desk camera, which for those of you who might be buying your web cameras off of Amazon, or like the little Logitech devices, this Webex Desk camera is going to replace that. We're also seeing the Desk Hub. We'll talk a little bit more about that. The Desk Mini, the Webex Desk, and the Desk Pro. So these are all devices right now that are orderable through DSI. And we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about those different devices. So first on the list here, this is actually one of my favorite devices. This is the Webex Desk camera. So one of the things we were talking about with some customers earlier in the year was, imagine, right? Your workers are going back at home, and in order for you to have a clean work experience, they're sometimes buying, maybe they have an older laptop, they're buying the desk cameras, they're buying the Logitechs and all the devices out there, maybe on Amazon. Here's the problem though. When we're buying these different camera devices, what happens if one is not operating as it should, right? You can't necessarily pick up, call IT or call your help desk and have them troubleshoot that specific device. Something like the Webex Desk camera, this is a 4K camera, and it also is allowing for centralized management. So for those of you right now who have Webex devices, like I'm calling right now from a Webex board right now, but all of these cameras are actually going to be listed in your control hub. So all of my admins, all my Webex power users who more than likely are in the Webex control hub, all these devices are going to be outfitted and basically integrated to the control hub. So I can actually reboot. So I've got Paresh on my call, who's one of my engineers here at DSI. Let's say that he's having issues at home. He's in the middle of a meeting. He would actually call me or call tech support. Hey, Alex, I'm having some issues with my camera. Me being an admin for our control hub, I could actually go in and say, oh yeah, Paresh, I see you need a software update, or hold on, Paresh, let me go ahead and reboot your camera for you. So I can actually do that remotely anywhere in the world as long as I have access to the control hub. So again, this is one of those reasons why a lot of people are starting to shift over to these Webex devices and allow that complete full circle support all the way down to your camera for your computers. And in conjunction with the Webex camera, we also have to talk about phone usage, right? So I can't just buy a bunch of 9800 series phones for my coworkers to bring home, or maybe have a phone here and then a phone at home as well, or maybe you haven't upgraded to Webex calling yet. This Webex Desk Hub is an amazing solution where, for those of you right now who, for instance, are using the Webex app, which I have on my phone, kind of like your messenger, it uses a intelligent solution called Intelligent Proximity. So what I would do is I would actually take my cell phone, and if you can see over here where it's docking, the little Wi-Fi symbol, I would actually take my phone, set it on the charging dock, and it would automatically sync my Webex calendar, my contacts, all my future meetings to this device here. This is great for hot desking. It's an amazing solution where if I wanted that one-touch button, I would actually be able to do that all from my phone, because this does connect with a C USB to my laptop. So I would essentially have my desk hub next to my computer. I would set my cell phone right next to my computer as a cradle. And now all of my Webex meetings, calendar, all that fun stuff now becomes integrated to my computer. So I have a standby solution, especially talking about hybrid, right? Maybe we're desk sharing, right? Maybe we're hot desking. So what I would do is at the end of the day, I would take my cell phone out, I would walk away, and maybe the next day somebody else comes and they put their cell phone on there, and that now becomes their workstation. So for those of you who are using the 9800s or already hot desking, you'll notice you're not gonna have to go in and log out of your computer anymore, or out of your phone. All you have to do now is just use the Intelligent Proximity, dock your cell phone, and you're good to go. A few things too, real quick, about the actual desk hub itself is the 4K camera that integrates as well. This is your whole solution here. So I've got a 4K camera now. I've got my headset. I've got all my Webex meetings all in one roof right there, and it's easily dispersible between different devices and different people throughout management. And again, this is another device that is also going to be managed with the Webex Control Hub. So all I would have to do in a scenario where I have a hybrid employee, or maybe I'm just deploying these solutions throughout the office, I could essentially mail these. If I'm sending it to an employee who's working from home, I would mail them the desk hub and the camera. I would send them an email that says, hey, here's your personalized 9-digit code to activate the device. They're going to power the device on. They're going to sit there. It's going to ask for an activation code, and it'll automatically activate that device for that individual or a workspace if you're doing a hot desk scenario. And this is something that our collaboration team and customer success team could help you manage through. It really just depends on what scenario you're looking at, but it really is as easy as just sending that individual code. If I'm getting this device personalized for me, I would literally activate my code, and it would say, welcome, Alex Scarton, as soon as I were to go type that code in and pull all my meeting information onto that device. So again, a great solution for people who are hot desking, or if you do want that personalized hybrid experience for some of your customers. And I think one of the questions I've had before when we talk about the Desk Hub, this is a solution that could replace your actual desk phones eventually if you were to get rid of, migrate into a Webex hybrid calling solution. That is how you would use this. So this would essentially be your soft phone. So if just in case people are thinking about that right off the bat, if that's something that you're looking at doing, you could absolutely do that. And real quick, I had a question in the chat. Are these cross-compatible if a vendor or client has another teleconference platform? So this does work primarily with Webex calling. So you'd have to utilize that solution. There might be ways eventually to do third-party applications, so like other soft phone technologies out there. I'm trying to think of one of the ones that we've used before. But I think there might be the ability in the future to have that. As of right now, though, this is a proprietary Webex solution. Now, the camera itself, the Webex Desk camera, that is a solution where if, let's say, I was using Microsoft Teams, Zoom, GoToMeetings, GoToWebinar, I could absolutely use the Webex Desk camera for those other solutions, right? Because it is a solution where it plugs into your computer or your Desk Hub. So I could essentially join a Zoom meeting using that 4K interface, and I can manage the actual device itself in the Control Hub. So hopefully that answered the question. Perfect. Great. So the first question we have for today, if you want to pull out your phones or if you're already at slido.com with that password there, our first presentation is, can I manage the Webex Desk camera in the Control Hub? Yes or no? Can I manage the Webex Desk camera in the Control Hub? Meaning, am I able to add this in there? How do I manage this device itself? Where do I do that at? All right. Go ahead and click the next one. Awesome. All right. Yep. 100% of you got yes. So absolutely. So I can actually manage the Webex Desk camera. And if you wanted to extend that question, you could also manage the Desk Hub as well in the control. But again, this allows us to remotely reboot hardware, troubleshoot issues. I also have the ability, which is kind of an advanced feature, but I could also set up alerts where if Courtney, who's sitting here with me, if she is running a meeting and she's having bandwidth issues, I can also set up an alert that will notify IT personnel, hey, Courtney lost or had some packet loss or her bandwidth was really low for 3 minutes solid. I can actually jump into her meeting remotely and monitor the situation to see what's going on and actually troubleshoot that. So for those of you who are thinking, I have executive board meetings every month, or I have monthly sales calls or whatever these types of important meetings might be, you can set up toggled alerts to respond to those and even jump into that live meeting. So if you'd like more information about that, again, you can reach out to the sales team. We can set up a call for you to discuss those issues. Next on the device list here is the Webex Desk Mini. Now, when I first saw this, I was talking with Cisco and I was trying to figure out what these different use cases are, right? And again, talking about the hybrid environment, we have a small huddle room that's adjacent to this office here, where it's maybe a two-person room. I don't need a huge WebEx board. It's somewhere maybe I just need to go take a call real quick with a customer, or maybe I need to make an HR interview or something simple, right? I don't need a full slew of tools. I don't need to buy a 50-inch TV or a 40-inch monitor with the sound kits, the sound bars. This Webex Desk Mini is perfect for a scenario like that. We also have customers that take this with them. This is a portable device. So imagine you're taking a call from your kitchen, right? And if you notice, there's a speaker at the bottom of this. So you could actually take a speaker and Bluetooth it for music and audio and do other devices. If you're customizing your endpoints like we do, you're also able to, I don't know if you can see here, You've got the call button, whiteboard. You can actually add applications on here like Google. I've had customers put Netflix on there, right? If you have a proprietary URL-based application or anything like that, you could also embed it with web apps onto this device as well. So think of it as like a portable iPad, but specifically for WebEx. And you'll notice some of the features here. I've got a 15-inch interactive 1080p display, a 64-degree HD camera. And again, talking about the sound, it does have the noise removal as well. So if you're having, I think the next slide, we've got a picture of a great use case where, so you're right there in your office or you're, in a collaboration area where you want to have a mixed meeting space. That background cancellation, the noise cancellation is huge. And just looking at the examples here, I'm seeing temporary office, kitchen table, living room, studio, focus room, desk, all these different things. My desk setup at home, I've got my laptop, my MacBook, I've got a 27-inch monitor, and I could easily use one of these desk minis right next to me that interfaces with all my WebEx meetings. And then again, it's being controlled and managed through the control hub with my IT team who can remote in, run diagnostics on the device, troubleshoot, and then set up and manage those alerts as well. So it's just a great tool to have, and it's a wonderful, smaller device for some of these smaller areas that I don't necessarily need a large WebEx endpoint in that room. And some canned questions here. Where could you use a WebEx Desk Mini, right? Huddle space, the kitchen, home office, or all the above? So where would be a good place to use the WebEx Desk Mini? All the above, correct. So yeah, obviously huddle spaces, right? Kitchens, home office, small meeting areas. Really trying to hit home on the fact that this device here is portable, CUSB, power driven. Anywhere where I don't need a large WebEx endpoint is somewhere I could put on. I've had customers who are even considering putting this in board meeting rooms, right? So for your city councils, where you have these portable endpoints, these are all things that you could do so those individuals could remotely join in and have their own personalized little device in front of them. And it does have a handle in the back if you were wondering. So moving up in the devices here, we have the WebEx Desk. So this is a 24-inch compact endpoint here. This is again where I would have my laptop here. I'd have my WebEx Desk right next to it. Now what you would do is you would take the CUSB, I would actually plug it into my WebEx Desk here, and that's going to become a separate monitor. So I would eventually be able to access this as a PC, where I could drag and drop applications and maneuver through the solution that way, or manage through it as an actual separate monitor in general. So again, for those of you who are looking for more an advanced setup, if you're on WebEx meetings constantly, we're going to have a lot of the same devices and capabilities that I can have on a WebEx board. One of my favorite ones, for those of you who are presenting quite a bit in your current roles, something that this endpoint does exactly is if you're sharing a PowerPoint, I call it the weather person effect, where you would actually be able to share a presentation with the WebEx device here. And then you would actually hit a button where it would allow for almost like picture-in-picture. Your body would basically be floating in the presentation. So if I'm doing this presentation right now, you would actually see me. I could actually point out certain things like a weather person would on the actual presentation itself. It makes it a little bit more interactive. And this is something that's only available on the WebEx Desk and Desk Pro currently. I think that feature is going to expand a little bit, but this again just adds for that experience. And for those of you who are doing a lot of collaboration at home, who need a more permanent setup, this is definitely one of those go-to solutions for you. Talking about the overview, we get the camera privacy shutter, so there's no more need to put that little sticker on the top of it. You can see the power button. I've got the built-in VISA interface, full range speakers. I've also got the 1080p actual display itself, and then we're looking at 24 inches right now, and then a 64-degree ultimate high definition camera. This is definitely a replacement for those of you who have noticed and have used the DX80 before. This was ultimately built to replace the DX80. And we'll see in the next slide that the Desk Pro is a more upgraded version of the desk. And the Desk Pro, we can actually move on to the next one as well. The Desk Pro, this is going to be a 4K solution, the actual display itself. Notice how it is a little bit bigger. It's 27 inches. I have a wider degree HD camera as well. And then the system inside of it is far superior in terms of sound and the AI inside of the device as well. For those of you who have used the Webex Assistant, this does have it integrated in there as well. So if I wanted to, make annotations or, ask Webex to highlight certain things during a meeting, this is that full interactive solution collaboration tool that you can use. Again, for that collaboration warrior out there, for someone who's constantly in meetings and is really utilizing the Webex tools to the greatest ability, this is definitely that solution for you. And it does come with a stylus, which is really nice for those of you who are whiteboarding as well. I don't necessarily say this is an endpoint where I would need to keep it strictly at home. This is also in a small huddle space as well, where maybe we're trying to go through a PowerPoint presentation. Engineering departments use this. Keep in mind as well, I also have police departments that are using this, right? We actually have hardened cases where we have, inmates and incarcerated individuals who are, messaging home and speaking with their lawyers and stuff like that. So there's a full array of use cases for this solution as well. I've seen this mounted inside fire trucks as well, for mobile command centers. I mean, you name it, there's all different types of use cases for this, and there are mounts available for it as well. So just wanted to, kind of allow you all to think outside the box, not just for an executive or a power user. This could be so many different use cases across the board. So the device that I'm using right now is the question that came in. So I'm actually using the Webex board. So I actually have an 85-inch board right now, and I've actually turned off the speaker track, but this device, which I think is on a slide that we have for another presentation in the future, but this has what's called speaker track. So if you're familiar with the room kits, it's a very similar device where if I were starting to walk and talk, or if Courtney was talking, it would actually jump over to her and you'd be able to follow the speaker as you're moving around. And this does have a stylus, so I can interact on that board as well. If you're looking at the Webex Desk Pro, the Webex board is basically a larger version of that, if that makes sense. And this is wall mounted. It also has floor mounts as well. So key capabilities, again, talking about your primary screen. So for those of you, like this looks like a MacBook user, this person has used a CUSB, and this is their second monitor, right? Talking about co-creation, actually whiteboarding and interacting on this session itself. So for those of you who are on our session right now, if you were to right click anywhere on my shared content, you can see where it says ask to control. If you're an attendee, you probably won't be able to do that. But this is where if we're in an actual meeting situation, if somebody's sharing a PowerPoint presentation, I could actually take my pen out and I could actually annotate over this and say, you know what? I really like this. I want to go ahead and, I'm waiting for Courtney to accept it, but I can say, I really like this part of the presentation. You're going to see it actually highlight. So if I was using one of these endpoints, I would actually be able to do that right there on my computer, or on the Webex Desk Pro, and be able to interact with it that way. One of my favorite features, which people don't really notice, is the directional speakers, right? This is something that people haven't asked for, but I love that Cisco's incorporated this with this new piece here. So if I'm looking at a split display, so you can see on the diagram here, if I were to draw a line down the middle, whoever's talking on the left side of the screen, I'm only going to get audio on the left speaker. And then if someone's speaking on the right side, so it really gives you that true experience where you're looking left to right versus just looking center. You can really pay attention. It's kind of, I think, more human-like where you're trying to incorporate some of these interactive hybrid experiences. And then some other stuff too, the dynamic best view. That's again where when you're talking, some of the things that I love about the Desk Pro, if I were in my computer, if I was using my webcam right now, right? If I were to like move back or stand up and sit down, the camera would actually follow me. So one of the cool things too, if anybody has the brand new iPad Pros that have come out, It's the same thing if you're FaceTiming with somebody. You'll notice that camera will actually follow you. So if I'm, again, in my home office or in a collaboration space, there's no more having to turn the camera or the computer around. That device is actually going to do it for you. And it's also going to zoom in on whoever's talking as well. Again, which is kind of why I reference these Webex boards. It's kind of the same thing. And then we hit on the dual display as well. That's another feature that we have that's available. All right. Can you use the Webex Desk Pro as a second monitor? Can I use the Webex Desk Pro as a second monitor? And for those of you who are thinking some of these are too easy, it's okay. We also grade these, the winners who get to see the prizes at the end, on how fast you respond to these questions too. So we'll let you all know, we'll notify the winner after the presentation here, but the faster you respond, the more likely you are to be the winner. And again, 100% of you said yes, you definitely can use the Webex Pro as a second monitor, and that utilizes the C-USB connection. It actually can be used to charge your laptop as well, which I think is a lot of people didn't realize. My computer here uses just a regular input for the charging mechanism, but my MacBook at home does use C-USB like most Apple devices. So if I were to use my Desk Pro as a second monitor and plug it in, it would actually act as a charging port as well for my computer. The Desk Pro, so I mentioned, or the Webex Board Pro. So I mentioned earlier that I'm using the Webex board right now. The only real differences besides the 4K displays on the Webex Board Pro and the Webex board is the fact, I don't know if you can see it, but there's actually 2 cameras on this. So what we can do is if I have somebody sitting over here and Courtney's over here, it'll actually use that speaker track and lock onto somebody here as well. And then it instantaneously can go over to Courtney without that delay. And we can set it up as well so that it has 2 different spaces. So if I had a microphone, maybe it's a little bit larger of a conference room. If I had a drop-down mic at this seat here and a drop-down mic where Courtney is sitting, what'll end up happening is if I program that Webex Board Pro, it'll allow, as soon as it detects audio from this side, it'll automatically jump over here, right? Or if I maybe have a podium over here in the corner, I have a desk, the Webex Board Pro, it'll automatically lock onto that audio in the back. So it really is just great for, being able to lock into the different cameras. And then obviously that upgraded 4-camera quality is next level as well. Talking about all-in-one device for the hybrid workplace, right? I mean, we utilize Webex boards in all of our conference rooms. And the reason being is if I need to go up and have a presentation, it's interactable. I can take the stylus, draw on the board. If I'm using the Webex app, I can actually take everything that's on the Webex board and I can push it back and forth. So for instance, if I were to start a meeting from the Webex app, and maybe I have a small team space for HR, right? So what I could do is I could actually share space to the Webex board. So I could actually walk up to the board, open a space, scroll through all of my documents on the Webex board that exist on my application, right? So I literally can have a tethered separate device, or a tethered device, essentially, a tethered space to my Webex board, make these annotations, as you can see, the visual whiteboards. I could whiteboard, and then once I'm done, I could save it on the Webex board, and it automatically saves back in my Webex app. So the great part about this, we do a lot of meetings from the Webex app, where if we're sharing PowerPoint presentations and Word documents, there's no more real need to pass the presentation out afterwards, right? It's all can be done interacting through the Webex app and through the Webex board. The dual camera intelligence, as you can see here, it's kind of making it a little bit easier for you to see who's participating on the camera. It definitely gives you a wider angle as well. That kind of takes that 4K dual camera a little bit further. And then lastly, I wanted to leave you quickly with just an overview comparison of the different devices here, so you can kind of see for yourself where we sit with these different devices in terms of capabilities, cameras, microphones. virtual backgrounds, IoT sensors. I don't think I really touched on that, but the IoT sensors, we can actually use them to detect temperature and humidity settings as well inside of a room. So if your office has strict requirements around HVAC or anything like that inside of a room, if you had one of these Webex boards or the Desk Hub, maybe at home, you wanted to check the weather or the temperature and humidity in that specific space, you could certainly do that. I actually have customers where they're programming lighting solutions and everything else to these solutions, where I could actually, like Alexa, ask Webex to turn on my lights or turn off my lights, or you would actually say, Webex, turn my HVAC to 73 in this room, right? So just showing you how we could use these sensors to interact on the various devices that you see across the board here. And with that, we went about a minute over, but I really do appreciate everybody's thoughtfulness in joining this presentation here and looking at the different devices that we have. They're going to be coming out across the board. And I think the relevancy of these solutions in the hybrid workforce are only going to get more and more. As you can see, a lot of people are starting to work remotely or are starting to need that advanced technology, intelligent technology to take home and stay in the office. So for any of you on the call still that would like to reach out to our team and ask any questions, we'd love to talk strategy, see what your hybrid workforce looks right now. What's your work strategy? If you're talking about remote work or staying in the office, a lot of these solutions can only improve that scenario. And we look forward to reaching out and speaking to you on behalf of DSI and Cisco. So again, thank you so much. And we will see you, I believe, next month, the first Tuesday, for our next session. So with that, enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you so much.